Okay, so I just wanted to do a little teaser. When I posted originally modifying this Razer Ouroboros to the light blue, people suggested doing an RGB one, and that's already some gears that I had turning in my head. So I picked up a couple. This one I have like a 12 to 24 volt whatever max input one, and this is a 5 volt USB one LED controller. And so these have a little IR receiver on them. Then they have RGB LED outputs. And so I got this is a 1206 RGB LED. And let me just see if I can get it to focus. It's going to be quite difficult, but as you can see, that's very tiny. There we go. And then I soldered some 0.01 or 0.1 millimeter magnet wire to it. And so the idea is, I don't know if this LED is going to be too big. It actually wasn't as hard to solder to as I thought it would be. But yeah, basically the idea is put this RGB controller inside the mouse and have the infrared LED poking out of the front, like one of these grates. That way it wouldn't be very obvious or anything. And then basically it's the closest to an actual Razer Chroma Ouroboros that you could get. It would be RGB and you could control it using a big remote or an app on your phone. I could also I have a Bluetooth one that I got. I could do that, but that's going to be more power hungry. The main thing is I don't know in wireless mode if I'll be able to find a 5 volt source. This might run on 3.3 volts or something like that. So if it can run on 3.3 volts or something along those lines, which I kind of doubt, then that would be really good because that's what the battery is rated at. But then the idea is basically I would go in and the mouse would be easy. These would be more difficult. Would basically be to remove the parts of the circuit board that have the LEDs present, and then take these LEDs and stick them, in the right spots to light up, the sections of the mouse that would normally light up. And then this way you'll get all of the, however many million colors you can get out of an RGB LED, whatever they claim. This one seems to be liking the white right now. There we go. But yeah. So this can actually quite nicely emulate the light blue that I like. But you can also have it doing the whole RGB fade thing. There won't be multiple zones, so I won't be able to do like different colors on the front and the back. A controller that can fit all that would probably be pretty complex to do. Yeah, and then as you can see, there's like color striation because this is just RGB. There's no white on this LED. No, it really doesn't like that. So, it's not going to be pure white if it goes into a white mode. But yeah, it has pretty nice range of colors. It seems to be working well. And this is small enough that I should be able to tuck it into the mouse somewhere. I don't know if I can maybe try and size it down or something. Probably not. But yeah, basically the idea is to put 6 of these 1206, or maybe if I can find smaller ones and solder to them, RGB LEDs inside the mouse with the magnet wire all going back to this controller. And then, yeah, the Bluetooth one is probably too large. But, then have an infrared receiver in the front there, or maybe drill a hole in there under the mouse cursor. That way it's hidden, but you can still change the colors. So yeah, anyways, that's the rough layout of a plan for an RGB Razer Ouroboros. I'd kind of like to maybe buy a third Ouroboros to do this, because this is definitely getting into the territory of potentially frying the mouse. Especially probing around and trying to draw 5 volts off of something that wasn't meant to have a bunch of LEDs, running on it. But we'll see. Failing making it wireless, it'll just have to stay plugged in and the lighting won't work unless you have the USB plugged in, because I can easily tap the 5 volts off of the USB connector. But I think that it will be pretty cool to have an RGB Razer Ouroboros finally, instead of just the light blue, even though the light blue is probably what I would stick it on most of the time. The whole black and purple looks pretty nice too. I can't get the wheel to really light up because of how big the LED is. I can't really get it to squeeze in there, I don't think. No, not really. But yeah, so basically trying to use a bunch of these RGB LEDs to do this. Yeah, these wires are pretty fine. If you have fairly coarse hair, then that's about as thick as they are. So the wire should be easy to run. Mounting the LEDs with how thick they are. I'm not going to be able to side mount these because of how tall they are. But they also spread light out pretty good, so yeah. We'll see. Just wanted to upload that because this is going to be something that's going to take a while. Maybe I'll keep an eye out for another Razer Ouroboros that I can modify, even if it's used. This one was basically brand new, so just figured I'd post a little teaser update thing. So it turns out I was actually able to squeeze the LED into the mouse wheel there in the one side. So yeah, one other thing. I guess there are 0404 SMD RGB LEDs. But to solder something that small, yeah, that's gonna be pretty difficult, I think, especially because I'll probably need something like a micro pencil, or like whatever that Hacko thing is that Louis Rossmann uses for surface mount soldering. But that's like a whole big station you have to get, I think, or at least a fairly expensive station. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame. But maybe I can also find a tinier tip. Although the soldering station I have is pretty old, so there's not much in the way of new tips that are easy to get. So yeah, I guess that's just the sort of thing I'll have to see. And also this thing is really seeming to... Oh, no, now it's moving. Alright, so yeah, there we go. That's a little teaser thing, I guess, on the potential Chroma Razer Ouroboros.